Hello everybody, my name is George and Ash.
And today, I'm going to talk about the history of
The Haunted Mansion. Ooh, spooky. I'm in a closet recording this. So boys and gals of all ages, let's begin this spooky night.
Anyways, we all know Disneyland opened in 1955, right? Well, in 1958, they started giving out premium park maps. Ooh, fancy. And the first edition of these showed off a lot of early attractions for the unbuilt Edison Square. A pirate wax museum, which, surprise, surprise, the Pirate Wax Museum became Pirates of the Caribbean! Who could have guessed that? Anyways, besides that, there was also a very early version of the Carousel of Progress and a haunted house, which, of course, became the Haunted Mansion, which said mansion's name was revealed in 1961 and planned to be open in 1963. But even if the outside of the attraction was fully finished by the time it was planned to open, everything else was not. And that's a bad thing. Anyways, years later I decided,
Hey, you know that haunted house we were planning to meet? Yeah, let's finish it.
cringy voice effects aside, with all the advancements from Carousel of Progress and Pirates of the Caribbean, they were able to make all the animatronics they needed. Finally, they opened the Haunted Mansion in 1969. After walking through the long closed iron gate, you would pass by the outside of the mansion and a graveyard. In the original plans, this graveyard was supposed to lead into a separate walkthrough, but it got scrapped. Though, the building for that walkthrough was built and stayed around until around 1975. After entering into the mansion, you'd have found yourself in the foyer, and right here is where one of the many ravens would have been found. Though this one was either never installed or removed after cast member previews. Inside the stretching room, it looked a lot different than what it looks like today. Back then, the walls were covered in blue and white stripes, which is pretty interesting because many people believe that Disneyland's version of the Haunted Mansion only ever had its iconic red stripe pattern. After this, you would pass through the portrait hallway, which originally was very simplistic but also very effective, even teasing some of the horrors you were about to face. Once you got into your vehicle, you would pass the endless hallway. After this, you would feel actual chills, making it seem like the ghost was going right through you. After this, you would pass by a knight moving his hand. Also, you know that chill effect we just talked about a couple seconds ago? That was achieved with an air conditioning unit blowing out cold air and another unit on the opposite side of the room sucking that air back in. After passing through a conservatory, you'd reach Madame Leota's room. Originally, she was supposed to appear right when you entered the room. This was supposed to be achieved with a hidden projector hidden inside the cabinet. Though this was changed, the cabinet still remained. Another effect that was used was the silk ghost in the background. There it is. The effect of it floating and being blown by the air was achieved with a fan behind the ghost. The ballroom was probably one of the most impressive scenes in the entire attraction, though a very big change was made just months before the attraction opened. You see, the transparent dancers in the ballroom scene are made transparent in very thick quotation marks using an effect called Pepper's Ghost. What you see from the right vehicle is a reflection of the actual figures which are hidden underneath the track. Originally, there were only 3 pairs of dancers that would be multiplied with different mirrors. But this effect only worked from straight on, and from any other angle, the illusion was broken. So Disney Imagineering quickly made another set of dancers. After this, we entered the attic, which is probably the most different part of the attraction compared to today. Looney birds, ghosts, popped up from hat boxes behind gravestones. These little goobers popped up after a sentence in the song was done, giving us a horrifying scream. After passing some bets, you would see the corpse bride. Now, you've probably seen this image, which claims to be the original version of the corpse bride. But this is most likely just a prototype. The actual first version of the corpse bride took on a horrifying corpse appearance, with glowing eyes and a beating heart. As you reach for the exit, you would see the infamous Hatbox Ghost. Now, if you want a more detailed guide on this incredible figure, make sure to check out Dan Olson's incredible Haunted Mansion blog, DoomBuggies.com. Link in the description. Now, we've probably all seen this picture of El Gracie and the Hatbox Ghost. Well, that's just a prototype of the Hatbox Ghost. But the actual Hatbox Ghost can be seen in the Austin special, before it was installed in the attraction. The attraction ended with the hitchhiking ghosts, having them appear in your ride vehicle using projections. So that's how the Haunted Mansion looked on opening day. But there was a lot of changes in just the first couple weeks. One of the most major being the removal of the Hatbox Ghost. The reason he was removed is because in a controlled area, like the Disney Studios, the effect of his head appearing in the Hatbox worked perfectly. But in the constant strobing lights of the attic scene, the effect didn't really work. So during the following weeks, the Hatbox Ghost was constantly removed and re-added into the attraction. Eventually, Disney decided, yeah, this thing isn't working, so let's not use it. If you're wondering where the Hatbox Ghost is today, that's a very good question. Nobody really knows. But now there was another problem. You see, the attic scene now had no climax. So Disney Imagineering decided to move the corpse bride from where she was currently standing to the end of the attraction. The first noticeable change to the attraction was the graveyard being removed in favor of expanding the queue. And the gravestones were moved to a berm sometime later. Another change that happened inside the attraction was the china in the ballroom scene being changed from white china to blue china.
That is a massive difference!
And then, sometime in the 70s, the corpse bride was completely updated, this time looking very similar to the prototype. And then, in 1974, an incident happened in the entire park that also affected the Haunted Mansion. 22 caliber bullet holes were found in the primeval diorama and in the Haunted Mansion. Though in the Haunted Mansion, this one was quickly covered up with a spider prop. Another change that happened in the 70s was the choo-choos, pop-up ghosts, were completely muted from giving out a scream. Then, around the summer of 1985, Disney started testing out a new feature in the Haunted Mansion: live actors. But this feature wasn't very popular with guests, because said guests will lash out at the knights. Because of that, said knights were given a remote to stop the attraction if any guests lashed out at them. Though this caused a lot of unneeded off time on the attraction. Another new addition to the Haunted Mansion was a white hearse with an invisible horse.
Haunts.
Next up, in the 1990s, they decided to make the corpse bride look less like a corpse.
Why?
Together with this, the pop-up ghosts were dressed up as groomsmen, having them scream out, "I do." And a ghost piano player was added, playing the iconic wedding march. By far, the biggest change to the attraction in its entire history was Haunted Mansion Holiday. This was a massive Christmas overlay to the entire attraction inside and out. But after Haunted Mansion Holiday, fans noticed that the iconic gravestones that had been there since the very beginning were just missing. And when Disney was asked about this, they said that they just couldn't find them. Then, in 2006, the most controversial update to the attraction in its entire history happened, when the entire attic scene was re-themed, removing the pop-up ghosts and replacing the corpse bride with a new character, Constance Hatchaway, which sadly was only represented by a digital projection. And then, in 2015, something amazing happened. The Hatbox Ghost returned! Woo! Then, just 1 year later in 2016, the graveyard was faithfully recreated, adding a couple new gravestones along the way.
Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.